Ready to get our hands dirty? Well, maybe not literally this time. We're digging into the world of no-dig gardening.
Yeah, this should be interesting. We're diving into a Danish research paper that has some pretty radical ideas about putting down the shovel and letting nature do its thing.
I'm intrigued, but also a little skeptical. I mean, how can you garden without digging? It seems counterintuitive, especially coming from Denmark, a place known for its eco-consciousness.
Right. You think of Denmark and you think of windmills and sustainable living, not necessarily groundbreaking gardening techniques. But they've got a long history of organic farming and a deep respect for the environment, so I'm ready to hear what they have to say.
The paper jumped right into this idea of green manure, which sounds more like something you'd find on a farm than in a backyard garden.
Yeah, it's not the most glamorous term, is it? But basically, it's about using specific plants to improve your soil, and it's a cornerstone of the no-dig method.
So instead of digging in compost or fertilizer, we're growing more plants. I'm not sure I follow.
It's all about keeping the soil covered year-round, especially during the off-season when your garden beds would normally be bare. The researchers highlighted a place in Denmark called Røde Lade, which translates to the Red Barn, a model of sustainable living. They use it as an example of how a constant cover crop can act like a protective blanket.
Okay, I can see how that would help prevent erosion and suppress weeds. But what about nutrients? Don't we lose those precious nutrients when we don't till the soil?
That's the beauty of it. These cover crops, especially the ones they recommend, are incredibly effective at holding on to nutrients, especially nitrogen, which is essential for plant growth. They act like nutrient magnets, preventing them from washing away with the rain.
So we're not just protecting the soil, we're actually improving it over time. And I'm guessing this has some pretty significant environmental benefits as well.
Exactly. One of the biggest problems with conventional gardening is nutrient runoff. All that fertilizer we use ends up polluting our waterways, which is a huge environmental concern. No-dig gardening, with its emphasis on natural cycles, offers a much more sustainable way to garden.
That's a huge plus in my book. I'm all for anything that helps protect our planet.
Yeah.
But I have to admit, I'm still hung up on the no-dig part. Doesn't till in the soil, loosen it up, giving those roots room to breathe and grow.
That's what we've always been told, right? But this research suggests that all that digging might be doing more harm than good in the long run.
Really? How so?
Well, when you dig, you disrupt the soil's natural structure. Over time, this can actually create a dense layer beneath the surface called a hard pan.
Hard pan. That doesn't sound good.
It's not. It's essentially a barrier that makes it tough for roots to reach the water and nutrients they need. It's like hitting a brick wall for your plants.
So all this time, I've been giving my garden a workout when it really just wanted a gentle massage.
It's more about working with nature than trying to control it.
So how do those hardworking green manure plants play into all of this?
Those deep-rooted plants are like nature's tillers. As they grow, their roots naturally break up that compacted layer, improving drainage and aeration in the process. It's a much gentler and more sustainable approach than bringing in the heavy machinery.
Fascinating. It's incredible to think that these plants can essentially do the heavy lifting for us.
It's all about harnessing the power of nature to our advantage. Speaking of which, have you ever stopped to think about how much nitrogen is in the air we breathe?
It's something like 78%, right? It's always boggled my mind that we have this incredibly abundant resource just floating around us.
It's incredible, isn't it? But here's the catch. Plants can't actually use nitrogen in its pure atmospheric form. They need a little help from some very important allies. Bacteria.
Bacteria. So we're talking about microscopic helpers in the garden. This is blowing my mind.
It's all connected. These bacteria live on the roots of specific plants, like clover, beans, and lentils. And they're able to convert that atmospheric nitrogen into a form the plants can actually use. It's a beautiful symbiotic relationship.
So we're talking about microscopic bacteria acting as intermediaries between the air and our gardens, delivering this essential nutrient on demand. That's incredible. Imagine the possibilities for gardeners if we could harness that power.
That's exactly what no-dig gardening aims to do. By incorporating these nitrogen-fixing plants into our gardens, we can essentially create our own free fertilizer, reducing our reliance on store-bought products. Good for your garden, good for your wallet, good for the planet.
It's like having a 24/7 nitrogen factory right there in the soil. This is definitely making me rethink my gardening methods. Speaking of which, the research paper made an interesting comparison between green manure residue and the leaf litter you find on a forest floor. Is there a connection there?
Absolutely. They're highlighting the importance of humus, that rich, crumbly, dark material you find in healthy soil. When green manure plants are allowed to decompose on the surface, they break down into this incredibly valuable organic matter.
So we're not just talking about preventing nutrient loss anymore. We're actually building up the soil's fertility over time.
Exactly. Humus is like a magic ingredient for your garden. It improves soil structure, making it loose and airy so roots can easily grow. It helps retain moisture, preventing the soil from drying out too quickly. And maybe most importantly, it provides a feast for all those beneficial microorganisms living in the soil.
It's fascinating to think that something as simple as leaving plant debris on the surface can have such a profound impact on the soil below. And to think, I used to bag up all my leaves and grass clippings.
It's all about mimicking the natural processes we see in nature. Forests don't need tilling or synthetic fertilizers to thrive. They've got decomposition and nutrient cycling down to an art. This research paper highlights how we can apply these same principles to our own gardens.
Let nature be your guide, as they say. And speaking of nature, the paper also mentioned how green manure protects the soil from the elements. They made it sound like having a cover crop is like giving your garden its own suit of armor. What are we protecting our soil from?
Bare soil is surprisingly vulnerable. Heavy rain can compact the soil, making it harder for roots to grow, while intense sun can bake it dry, zapping moisture and harming those beneficial microbes we talked about. It's a delicate balancing act.
So our gardens can get sunburned and rained out just like us.
In a way, yes. A cover crop acts like a living mulch, protecting the soil from these harsh elements. It intercepts the rain, preventing it from pounding directly onto the soil, and provides shade, regulating the soil temperature. Cooler on hot days, warmer on cool nights, like a natural thermostat for your garden.
A thermostat for your garden. Now that's a gadget I could get behind. Speaking of temperature, the paper mentioned that covered soil tends to be warmer overall. It seems counterintuitive. Shouldn't bare soil warm up faster in the spring?
That's a common misconception. While it's true that bare soil might heat up more quickly at the surface, a layer of organic matter from decomposing cover crops actually acts as insulation. It helps retain that heat, leading to a more consistent temperature over time.
So less about quick bursts of heat and more about maintaining that Goldilocks temperature, not too hot, not too cold.
Precisely. And this can be incredibly beneficial, especially if you live in a cooler climate with a shorter growing season. A slightly warmer soil in early spring can give your plants a head start, allowing you to grow a wider variety of crops and even extend your harvest later into the season. It's all about working smarter, not harder, right?
Exactly. Who knew that a little bit of cover could make such a big difference? It's like tucking your garden in with a cozy blanket on a chilly spring night. This research paper is really opening my eyes to a whole new way of thinking about gardening.
And we've only just scratched the surface. There's even more to learn about the benefits of no-dig.
Okay, you can't just drop a tantalizing hint like that and not elaborate. What other no-dig secrets did this research unearth?
Well, they delved into this fascinating concept called biofumigation.
Biofumigation. It sounds a little intense, like something you'd hear in a superhero movie. What is it?
It does sound a bit dramatic, doesn't it? But it's actually a completely natural process. Basically, certain plants, as they decompose, release compounds that can suppress harmful pests and diseases in the soil. It's like they have a built-in defense system.
So instead of reaching for chemical pesticides, we're enlisting the help of these plant protectors. That's amazing. Are there any examples of these superhero plants?
Mustard is a great example. When it's used as a cover crop and allowed to decompose, mustard releases compounds that can help control those pesky soil-borne pests and diseases. It's a natural and effective way to protect your garden.
It's like we're building a fortress around our plants, but with flowers and foliage instead of bricks and mortar. This has been an incredible deep dive, but I have to be honest, it's a bit daunting to think about overhauling my entire gardening approach. Any tips for someone who's ready to dip their toes into the no-dig waters? Where do we even begin?
You don't have to do it all at once. Start small and see what works for you. Even small changes can make a big difference. The researchers suggested using something as simple as grass clippings as mulch. Instead of throwing them away, just spread them between your rows of vegetables.
So we can experience some of the benefits of those larger-scale green manure crops, even on a smaller scale.
Absolutely. And remember, composting is another great way to add that beneficial organic matter to your soil. It's like giving your garden a gourmet meal.
It seems like this whole approach to gardening is about understanding those natural cycles and trusting in the wisdom of nature.
Precisely. We've been conditioned to think that we need to control nature to make it productive, but this research suggests otherwise.
It's a real paradigm shift, isn't it? Instead of imposing our will on the garden, we're learning to work in harmony with it.
Exactly. It's about observation, experimentation, and a willingness to embrace a gentler approach. Who knows, we might even discover that gardening can be less of a chore and more of a dance with nature.
That's a beautiful way to put it. It seems like every time we delve into a new topic, we uncover a treasure trove of insights. And this deep dive into the world of no-dig gardening has been no exception.
It's definitely challenged our assumptions and opened up a world of possibilities.
And hopefully inspired our listeners to get out there and experiment in their own gardens.
Happy gardening.